The stars looked freshly soldered above the dark metal of the mountains, faintly visible now that our eyes had adjusted. Mel was a whim of a shadow to my left, but I could feel her giddiness, or maybe it was my own, adding a kind of shimmer to the air. The world seemed preternaturally honed and heightened, our vision and hearing sharper. I watched a star shoot to the horizon with an after-image trailing behind it. "Did you see that?" I whispered. When that same star shot up again, we shoved our bikes into the ditch and ran. The flashlight scanned the road, moving closer in clean yellow sweeps. Mel dove into the ditch a few meters from our bikes, and I bolted senselessly toward the nearest building, where I flattened myself against a wall. I heard footsteps approach, the click of heels on concrete, and regret seared me. I would never be a Martian explorer now. Instead, I'd spend the rest of my days in a Chinese prison, desperately wishing I had something to read. With my cheek pressed against concrete, I stared up. If the heavens aligned, I told myself, if a single constellation clicked into place, the Big Dipper, say, or Cassiopeia, we'd be saved. I scanned the night sky for some reassuring sign, any familiar map to orient myself by. Ironic, I suppose, when the great goal of my life was getting lost. But the stars reeled and spun and refused all their usual patterns. The footsteps came closer and closer and stopped. Then I spotted the Big Dipper pouring out of the sky. The footsteps started again, moved closer, and faded away. I didn't dare move, or breathe, or glance at Mel, who was still playing dead somewhere in the ditch. A few minutes or an eternity later, a truck sputtered into gear and drove off the way we'd come. The night settled back into silence. We grabbed our bikes and continued racing through Coody, instantly unrepentant. Fear exhausted itself into euphoria, a sense of irrational hope. The man with the flashlight surely saw us, pathetic and full of prayers in the ditch and against the wall, a couple of dogs, with our heads tucked under the couch, believing our whole bodies hidden. At the very least, he must have spotted our bikes overturned in the ditch, their wheels spinning uselessly. Why he decided to move on was a mystery we didn't question, in part because we were too winded to talk. But even as Mel and I pedaled hard toward the Tibetan plateau, I noted the bomb-like ticking of excess reflector duct tape against the front fork of my bike. Tick, 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 the sound went, a gentle yet ominous stutter. I should trim that, I thought to myself. That's when a second checkpoint, the real checkpoint, loomed from the darkness like a bad dream. This time, the guardrail was lowered, thigh-high and secured with chains. Lighted concrete buildings edged the checkpoint on both sides, though we couldn't see anyone in them. I stopped pedaling, letting my bike coast and slow. Yeah, Mel acknowledged, but her voice came from somewhere ahead of me. I hesitated for a beat and started pedaling again. If Mel wasn't about to back down, neither was I. Throw your heart over the fence, our pony club instructors had always urged us, and the rest of you will follow. Hopefully the horse and saddle, too, they'd add with a grin. The only way to test the truth of a border is to ride hard toward it and leap. Or if circumstances demand it, crawl. Exposed in the pale light leaking from the checkpoint buildings, Mel and I glanced at each other one last time. Then we scuttled on hands and knees beneath the guardrail, dragged our loaded bikes after us, and pedaled as fast as we could into forbidden territory.